What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to AirBender LPV. I'm your host, Corey. After the Mario Mini25 video, I received several comments about how I installed a P1 system. People want to know if the P1 was a plug-and-play system or whether it requires soldering and could it handle the power wire. So today, I'm going to show you exactly how I put mine together. And the good news is, it was actually a simple build. Because I purchased the power version of the Mario Mini25, most of the electronics were already installed. And the P1, it was plug and play. So soldering was required for the P1 installation. That's pretty much the biggest question that I had. Getting it installed wasn't as simple as it sounds, but it's still fairly easy. And I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I did it. It was definitely plug and play. I didn't have to solder the red wire to separate the 5-volt pad. I didn't have to modify the wiring harness at all. I used the provided connector and plugged the P1 system directly into the connection that was already provided on the drone. So for my exact setup, there was no soldering required. I know there has been some concern of whether the system is receiving 5 volts or 9 volts. I did not connect mine to a random pad or change the factory wiring. I used the plug provided for the power version of the Mario Mini25. That is an important difference between my build and someone starting with only the bare frame or using a different flight controller. If you're building yours from different electronics, your wiring may not be exactly the same as mine. But with the power version I purchased, it was as simple as plugging the system in. Mounting it, that's a whole different thing. And that's the most important part of this video for me to show you guys how I mounted mine. Now this is probably not the only way you can mount it, but for me, this was the easiest way for me to mount it. All right guys, so we have the Mario Mini25. This is the first version, and that's the P1 system in there. Now, this is not the best fit because there's nothing around here, but it does work. I'm gonna show you what I had to do with this. You had to be real careful with what I'm about to show you. So normally with this quad, you could just take this off, and you still can just take this off. But you have to be real careful with this, and I'm gonna show you guys why. But before we take it off, we need to take this camera out of here. And you guys will see why in just a moment. And I'm just reversing this the way I put it together. So you're gonna have a screw here, and you're gonna have a screw here. This is a 1.5 driver. So let's go ahead and remove these. Kind of hold this as you twist it, because that camera's gonna wanna move. So once you get those out, you have the camera in there and it's just dangling. I'm gonna show you why we did that. We don't have that much wire that we can pull this thing off and go forward. So that's the reason why I had it set up like I have it set up. Now I'll show you guys what I did. This is the P1 system, of course, and this thing just plugs straight into the existing port right here. I didn't have to change any of these wires. I didn't have to do anything. It just plugs straight in. Let's go back into here. From what I understand, the footprint of the system that you use with DJI comes in a smaller footprint. So this wouldn't fit in here. So what I did was I bought grommets and I used the board that was already here, and I used these 3 screws. So we got one here, and one here. And we have grommets in between. Got a screw, grommet. Here on this backside is so close to, pretty sure this is a resistor, so close to there that this is what it normally looked like. What I did was I just took some wire snips and I just clipped it. There was nowhere to mount it down here, but for me, this unit, I'll probably only use it in here. So if I had to put it in something else, it's not a big deal. I don't necessarily recommend you do that, but that's the only way I can get it to fit in here. I was really wanting to use the P1. I went ahead and went with this because it's gonna save me a bunch of money. So this is the most important part. When you put this back on, you can't attach the camera right now. This is the tricky part. I say tricky, but it's not tricky. It's just kind of hard to do. Takes a little time. Everything locked back in. May as well go ahead and lock this down so you won't forget later. Now, you're gonna grab a screw. You're gonna get the screw and you're gonna go ahead and get it on here. You're gonna grab that camera again, and you got some holes on the side of that camera. Again, this is just the way I did it. I'm not saying this is the only way you can do it, but this is the way it worked best for me. You're gonna go ahead and get your screws lined up here. Get started. Gonna hold that camera. And this is the hard part. This is the real hard part, guys. This is what takes so long. You probably won't be removing this thing on and off all the time. Once we get ready to take this canopy off, if this was still connected, you'd have to be real careful. What you want to do once you put these 2 screws in here, try to have them even on both sides the same. But this is the way I did it. I'm not saying this is the only way it can be done, but this was the easiest and fastest way for me to do it. That's pretty much it, guys. That's how I built my SpeedyBee Mario Mini25 with the P1 HD system. This was a very beginner-friendly project because you don't have to solder in the motors, flight controller, ESC, or even the camera. With this particular one, all you have to do is connect the harness, mount the camera, video transmitter, disassemble the drone with the canopy, and complete the setup in beta flight. I used the factory plug that came with the Mario Mini25. Just remember, this applies to this exact version. A bare frame or a Mario using different electronics could require different wiring. Let me know in the comments if you're thinking about building one of these. and tell me what system you plan on using. You can check out the Mario Mini video flight in this next clip. Remember, we're learning to bend and win one flight at a time.
Still hits, yeah, it keeps me alive. Learning to bend and win one flight at a time.